And when we show up as who we are fully, it gives people permission to feel safe, I think.
So one thing I did want to ask is, you've been out on site a lot. A part of that is telling your story. And initially when you come on board, we worked through your story, and it was something that you had to work through personally yourself to even give yourself permission to speak about it. And so what I want to know is, what have you learned? What are the lessons that you've taken away from being someone now who goes to site and shares their story as a means of making an impact, creating connection, and then creating, like Bryn would say, an opening for people to share and be vulnerable?
What have I learned? I've learned that, I guess one thing I've learned is that no man's an island, that everyone has their own experience in life. I think people are yearning an opportunity to talk about what's going on for them. And I just don't think society generally gives them permission to be able to communicate and have a conversation about those things. Yeah, I think that's kind of like my big takeaway, is that people in the world are really yearning the opportunity to be able to talk about what they are going through, and we give people permission to have a conversation about that.
What do you think it is about your story that gives people that permission?
I think the fact that I own who I was, that I was an angry, arrogant asshole, and that still shows up at times.
And by the way, that's not your description of yourself. That was your wife's description.
That was my wife's description, but yeah. So there's that aspect of like just being honest about like, hey, this is who I was. This is me. And I think that people see that I'm not kind of putting on a mask and a show, and that they're actually just getting who I am. And when we show up as who we are fully, it gives people permission to feel safe, I think.
No, I think that's really good. I think the responsibility piece is massive, especially in the industry that we're in. I think a lot of people would be used to people that they know making mistakes, fucking up, hurting other people, but they're not taking responsibility, instead choosing to blame. Or whether, it's not necessarily blaming it on someone else, but saying, I've done this because you did X. When you're in a position when you can say, hey, this is how poorly I showed up. I treated people really, really badly. I treated myself really poorly. But these are the changes that I've been trying to make since. I'm in no way perfect, and I don't think I ever will be, but this is how I've transitioned. I accept what I've done. It sucks that I hurt people and myself in that way, but I'm on the path to becoming this man, this person. And if you take responsibility and accountability in the same way and take those steps day by day, remain consistent, you can create that transition and transformation as well.
Yeah, and often something that comes up a lot is guys will come up to me and go, hey, I feel really uncomfortable about asking my wife the question of like, what 3 words would you use to describe me, is the question that I asked my wife.
Is that because they know what the answer's gonna be?
Yeah, so sometimes it's because they know what the answer's gonna be, and sometimes it's because they don't know what the answer's gonna be, or they believe that they don't know, and it scares them. And often I'll get guys send me a text message the next day, or they'll run into me in the mess and they'll go, oh bro, I asked my wife that question last night, and they'll say, oh, she said this, this and this. And sometimes I'll go, oh, my wife laughed it off and didn't want to answer. And then that creates opportunity to have a conversation about safety. Like, how safe does your partner feel to actually really tell you what's going on for her, what she's thinking, what she's feeling. And I think that's kind of what we do, is that we create opportunity for people to be curious about their own life, that if this guy was this way and this is how he's showing up here, what would it look like for me to have that in my life, for that, I guess, serenity, for lack of a better word.
Well, I think a big part of what we do is people see themselves in our stories, and inevitably someone will come up at the end of the session and go, man, I was you except this part of your story. And I'm sure you get the same as well, right? Yours probably even more so than mine. I was you except this little part of the story. And they're like, what do I do next? And so I think being openly vulnerable while taking responsibility creates those moments for them right after that session, but also flowing on into their relationships and the ways that they want to show up for the people that they love.
Yeah, I think like that term opening, planting seeds, creating opportunity for change, I think is really what happens within the sessions that I deliver. Like, it's really about planting the seeds of this is where I was, this is where we went. And then the other thing that comes up a lot is like, oh, I didn't know breathing could make me feel that good. Like, people often go, why can't you just teach us the breathing without the story? And I go, well, it won't work, because you need to go from feeling like a 3 to an 8, from 2 minutes of breathing to understand the power of the tool, right? So I guess that's something else that comes up is, oh, I didn't know that I could do that. I didn't know that I could breathe and feel better. You know, that really, I'm surprised how much it comes up, given how much that's showing up in society, in film and in TV in general. We're kind of starting to see more of this kind of like breathing and yeah, so.